Stand up for your pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two things. Number one, that's not Ruth Ann, that's Samantha. Ruth Ann is ill tonight, so she's not able to. And if anybody needs entrances and exits, that's an exit you came in, and an entrance, and behind you is also an exit. So, God forbid if you need. Okay. How's everybody?
Okay.
Good.
A little under the weather myself.
Yeah, you sounded actually. Okay, so did everybody get the minutes?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I gave Molly two
Hold it,
changes.
do we have an
Sorry.
approval to move? Second? Discussions. Go
I
ahead.
have two changes. I gave them both to Molly. There were 43 round trip van visits, not 3. And I
Not
just
3.
added at the end that Tiny Tots will be at 3 locations. More information on the website as to where and the dates.
Any other corrections to the
One.
petitions?
Mark, it said Marcus. I don't know if that's his real name, so I think that might be.
Oh, it's in Marcus?
So it's Mark.
Maybe my mother calls me.
So Mark.
Mark with a K.
Yes.
I will change that.
Any other corrections?
I didn't even pick that up, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Deputy Supervisor, EMS, ambulance.
Right, I'm just gonna give the quick stats for March that will go on the website, and then I'm ceding my time to give Mark some extra time to do a thorough presentation for everybody here and for the public on where we are right now after 3 months and what his impressions are, as well as explaining some of the statistics that are put out there, as well as explaining what some of the requirements for the ambulance and temporary housing. But I know Mark will do a fine job in presenting everything, so we're happy you're here, Mark.
Thank you.
So I just want to, for the month of March, there were 93 total calls, 7 on the Hutch, 45 in the village of Pelham, 40 in the village of Pelham Manor. I'm assuming these Tuckahoe, Eastchester, and Bronxville are mutual aid calls. Thank you very much. And the average time for the first vehicle to arrive at the scene, fly car or ambulance, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
I want to be accurate, is 4.6. 4.6, Dan, do you understand?
Oh, no. Now you gotta bring that up. I met with Molly. You guys corrected me at the last meeting. The meeting before, you didn't correct it.
Okay.
And Molly has it in the minutes. I am totally insulted by what you did to me at the last meeting. But I showed up anyway today.
Dan couldn't get the 4.6. How could that be? It is. The on the scene time, which Mark will explain a little bit more about, is 19.49 minutes, which means you're at the scene giving care to the patient. And then the transport times, the average is 13.75 minutes. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So the turnaround time for every call on an average is 28.44. So that is for the month of March. But because there is some confusion, and I will say that Mike Lon, myself, and Mark did an article for the Pelham Examiner. The article was printed, bless you. We didn't get to review it, so I couldn't make, none of us could make any corrections to the article before it was printed. So it's really great that Mark's here to clarify some of the inconsistencies that were in the article. I just wanted to say that first. The stage is
Stage
yours.
is mine. Okay. So thank you guys, Supervisor McLaughlin. Thank you for having me. For
Say
those,
your name.
my name is Mark Baumlett. I'm the ALS coordinator for Eastchester Ambulance. I'm the manager for the Pelham EMS system on behalf of Eastchester. Our president for the ambulance corps is on his way here, Jude Valerati. He should be here any minute. He was coming from another meeting. First and foremost, it's been amazing working with you guys. This is a labor. This is not easy. Putting something together from virtually nothing. We've done a lot in the 90 days that we've been working on this. And that's inclusive of the vehicles that are parked outside and putting together a plan for the buildings, which we'll go over, or the building, which we'll go over shortly. I have received some emails via Ray, some directly. We do have an email address for the system if you want it. It's info@pelhamems.com. All those emails go to myself. I share them with Ray, and that way we can answer questions appropriately and have people have a better understanding. One of the biggest drawbacks to being in emergency medical services is media. And I'm not talking social media, I'm talking television. People generally do not understand how EMS works, secondary to things like Chicago Fire and Rescue 911, NYPD. It's a lot of it is art, some cases intimidating life, but imitating life, I should say. But other than that, it puts us in a very, very awkward position. So one of the things that I want to explain to everybody so that they're clear is what exactly happens when we call 911. So when we call 911 from our home, or our place of work, or somewhere we're shopping from, what exactly happens? Westchester County is very complicated. We have numerous agencies throughout the county, numerous police agencies, numerous fire agencies, numerous ambulance services, who runs a fly car paramedic, which fire department does ALS first response. There's so many different ways to look at this. To make it clear for you guys in Pelham, you have a very, very good system. Works really, really well. There's a lot of stuff that's done in concert. We did, in fact, an EMS call today that involved both police departments together. So a lot of stuff gets done together. What happens with us, by virtue of where we're at right now, is the fly car itself, which is owned by the town, is situated in Pelham Manor at Fort Penfield. The ambulance, majority of the time, and when I say majority, typically 12 hours a day, is stationed right next door. Some of the pitfalls we've run into, and I'll be completely candid with it, is the staff was uncomfortable with the fact that they feel like they displaced your elderly population. That there was a lot of senior citizens that in the earlier part of this transition, there was a lot of senior citizens meandering into the room that we were in, and they felt bad. So we're navigating stuff like that, and we're making it work. We've a couple of them become friends with them. I think they've been invited to card games. I'm not really sure. But we're navigating it, much like we're navigating any new relationship. So getting to the statistics, there was a concern that the ambulance does come from Eastchester at night. We all agree that that is temporary while we find a place to be. In the meanwhile, we're utilizing it to the best of our ability, which gives you emergency medical response on either side of the town. You have the paramedic fly car on one side of the town, and you have the staffed advanced life support ambulance, in theory, on the other side of town. So when you look at the statistics, and the statistics I'll get into in a bit, it tells a story. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell every story. It tells bits and pieces of multiple stories. So when we talk about the response time is the time that it takes the first, we'll say, paramedic to arrive and start treating a patient, whether it's one of your transient population, somebody getting off the train, somebody shopping, somebody grabbing a bite of pizza, or somebody living in town. It's the time that it takes to get a advanced life support paramedic to that patient. What's different now than before is now you have two, and we have them coming from two different sides. So your ambulance, like I said, is coming from the other side. The on-scene time is the other piece of that story. And this is one of the things, or one of the points that we try to drive home more frequently. When people watch this on television, in the interest of a 30-minute segment of a TV show, everything is done super, super quick. EMS is more methodical. When it comes to doing a cardiac monitor, a 12-lead cardiac monitor, some blood diagnostics, whether it's glucometry, I mean, the list goes on and on. A lot of that stuff takes time. If we're treating somebody that's suffering a cardiac event or a stroke, it's got to be a lot more methodical, so that the on-scene time isn't the ambulance showing up, we're grabbing the patient, throwing them in the back of the ambulance, and then speeding off to the hospital. That's not an effective and efficient way to treat a patient. So it's done a lot more methodical, so you might see some variations in time. The reason why we capture all these different times, the response time, the on-scene time, the time it takes us to get to the hospital, the time it takes us to leave the hospital, is that myself and Ray can sit there and see if there are problems or if there are trends. One of the trends that we've highlighted just in the 3 months we've been doing this is that we were having some concerns with some of the local hospitals. The ambulances were getting stuck there, and I think you guys noted in one of your meetings,
Yeah, last week.
the ambulances were getting stuck there on average 60 to 90 minutes. What does that mean to the residents of Pelham? That means for 60 to 90 minutes, your ambulance that's assigned to the town of Pelham is not here.
Frozen.
It's frozen somewhere else. And that could be anywhere. As you've seen by our transport list, it could be in White Plains, it could be in Valhalla, it could be in the Bronx, it could be anywhere. So those are times that we were conscientious of. And in that case, we were able to reach out to that hospital in particular and say, what's going on? What can we do to make this better? What can we do to make this turn around a little bit quicker? And then we keep an eye on them, month to month.
The other thing, not just to stop you, is if, as you said, if the fly car's busy and the ambulance is stuck in a hospital, I know you've sent a second ambulance from Eastchester.
Sure.
So many times instead of that circuitous mutual aid
Yes.
phone call, Mark has just sent the second ambulance from Eastchester.
So the way we function this system, the medic that's in the fly car here runs the entire system. If that means judging who goes mutual aid, when and how, or if we're bringing other ambulances in from other districts, specifically or primarily Eastchester, that person makes that decision. There might be instances, just based on the nature of the call, that we might wait. We might wait. And I know that the word wait sounds kind of weird when you're talking about emergency medical services, but if we have to pull an advanced life support ambulance from another municipality to deal with something in Pelham that can, in theory, wait a little bit, somebody that just doesn't feel well over a general complaint, somebody that may have an ankle injury, nothing grossly traumatic like a fracture, something that can wait, we will have them wait. Because what happens with these times is they trickle back and they create this butterfly effect that affects everybody. So if you take the system the way it was prior to this not having an ambulance, every time the town of Pelham called a mutual aid ambulance in from another municipality, that created a problem somewhere else, which in effect could potentially create a problem even further out as ambulances started moving around. So if you guys remember a bunch of years ago at a point we were getting mutual aid into Pelham from as far as Armonk
An Osning.
and Osning. And people, they're happy to see an ambulance and certainly happy to get transport, but they don't see what happens between the town of Pelham and Armonk. Because obviously there's a trickle-down effect of all across that board. So we're trying a more progressive approach. We're trying to manage the system, make it make sense. There are ebbs and flows to it, which we talk about regularly, and see if there's things that we can do different, do better. And that's predominantly where the story comes from, the statistics. So as far as the ambulance response time, even from Eastchester, I couldn't even begin to give you an average, and I'll tell you why. But I can tell you the response is fair and reasonable from Eastchester. The reason why I don't want to give you an average is, as I mentioned to Ray and also to my counterpart, Gina Ainsley, who's on our Pelham Quality Assurance Committee, is I don't want to make this a race against time. I don't want vehicles, ambulances, or the fly car rushing to calls just to make a number, just to fix that number. I want it to make sense. So if we have calls that are traumatic in nature, we had one recently in the last couple of days. I mean, those are things that we're going to handle a little bit more expeditiously than, say, something else. So I hope that kind of answers the question. The other highlight that I wanted to bring out with your system now is we went 25 or so years not being participant in a county mutual aid system. We are overly participant now. We volunteer to go to other municipalities. So there are times when Eastchester will get dispatched mutual aid to Pelham Road in New Rochelle or Huguenot or somewhere over on over near the hospital, that we might actually send the Pelham ambulance to do it because it's quick. And the Pelham ambulance, in my opinion, is in service from South Shore Medical Center. So it's quick. And we want to be participant. We want to kind of make up for lost
Well,
time.
you don't give, you don't get.
Yeah, so we're doing that. So you're seeing that in your statistics. The other thing that we're doing the best we can with your residents is getting them to where they want to go. There are some caveats to that. One of the ones that we do get frequently asked for, not as much here, is Greenwich, because that other people like Greenwich Hospital. It's a good hospital. The hard part is, you know, it's a trek from here. It's hard to get to.
That's an hour.
So if we get somebody that's it's up.
Drop off, come back.
Yeah,
it's an hour.
I mean, their ER turnaround is pretty quick. If we do get a resident that needs to go to Greenwich, let's say for a specialty like labor and delivery, we will do our best to get them there. You're probably seeing facilities on your chart, actually on the one that's on the web, of places that you're kind of shocked that we're going to. You know, we're going to the old Our Lady of Mercy on 233rd Street. We go to Einstein, Valhalla. We've kind of pretty much run the gamut. We go around. The biggest request we get here is White Plains. And I will say, next to Greenwich, White Plains is the hardest request, just because of where it is geographically. But we do the best we can to accommodate the patients, because certainly we want to get them to where they want to go. It makes it easier for everybody.
Could you talk a little bit about, I know that the ambulance is housed temporarily.
Okay. Yep.
The requirements that, I mean, there's OSHA requirements.
So there's
labor
labor requirements. You know, in some cases, EMS is such a unique bird. EMS workers can work 8-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, 20s, 24s. There's a large variation. And in order to do that through the labor department, we have to give people the ability to a place to sleep. That's one. That's a labor requirement. So they also, because it's EMS, the Department of Health requires us to have them have the ability to clean themselves. Should, God forbid, they get blood on their uniforms, they have to have the ability to clean themselves here and not necessarily bring that home, which brings into the fact that they need a washer and dryer to clean their clothes. They don't bring their clothes with them. That coupled with creature comforts. As much as we love eating up and down Fifth Avenue, people want to have the ability to prepare their own food. I will say the fire departments, both of them, have been gracious enough to open their doors to us. We have crews that go regularly to both. Actually, either have breakfast, coffee, lunch, dinner with your folks on both sides. We do stop in the police departments pretty regularly, and as I said, we want to be part of the town. But when it comes to putting together the station for the ambulance, it's got to be secure. It's got to be climate controlled. It's got to have complete housing. We carry narcotics. We have to make sure that they're safe. We carry medications. We carry all sorts of different equipment that's got to be secure.
So currently, the staff of EVAC does have a key to the guild room. So they lock
Yes.
the guild room if they have to leave, and they left some of that refrigerated, climate controlled.
Yeah.
So we had to issue keys to all staff that were going to work for us, so that it can be locked, and a sign that kind of says you have to stay out if this is locked because there's evac stuff in there. So I know it's temporary.
It is.
We are exploring as any possibilities we can. We even reached out, I will tell everybody, to Eastchester, because if you go to Chester Heights, where J&G is, the deli and all, there's that Eastchester firehouse there. It's being worked on. So Mark was able to give me a lead, and I reached out to Eastchester to say, can we even put our ambulance there temporarily until you, and he, Chief, I'm
Brian
forgetting.
Tween.
Right. Chief Tween went to his board, but his board said no. But at least we thought maybe that would be a potential easy, like 4-month, 5-month solution because it's so close, but that didn't work out. So we've even reached out to other communities to, as well as our own 2 villages, to see if there's any appropriate space.
Sure. And you're one of the few municipalities left that has no open space. So
We're well aware.
Yeah, we know.
so the challenges aren't new.
Unfortunately.
The challenges aren't new, and as I've spoken to a couple of the residents about it, just because they were picking our brain, and I'd say we're 90 days into this. We're working on it. We're working on it. You and I speak probably.
Every
I think
day.
I speak to you more than I speak to my wife.
You're poor.
Just relating to that, I'll tell you that on 9/11, I spoke to both mayors about availability of space. Both of them on 9/11 said they didn't think they had any space, they would review it. 9/28, I had a meeting with both of them. Both of them came up and said, we don't really have it. On 10/6, I had a meeting with the architect because we said, let's look around town to see what else we have. We looked at the library, which the library director can say that we were there, with the architect. We went into this parking lot with the architect. We went to Pelham with the architect. This board, in the October meeting, agreed to employ the architect, and we did a town agreement with the architect to find a place. That agreement was signed 11/6. 11/25, we went to, 10/25, we went to another area for space. Your thing was 12/19, you went out to Chester Heights. 11/16, we met with the architect again. 12/20, I reached out to Westchester County. No, I'm sorry. 9/20, I reached out to Westchester County. You may not know this, but there's by the parking lot at the post office is an empty space. I found out it was owned 2/3 by Westchester, 1/3 by New York State. I went out to Westchester County on 12/19. They came back and asked me for some documentation. I sent them the documentation. As of, what day was it, Sam, like they were here? Friday or Thursday? I met with Westchester County here, and he said that space, if he could get it for us, and he wasn't sure he could, would take 6 to 12 months. I had the meeting on floor 2, I'm sorry. During this whole time, I've had various and multiple discussions over the fall and winter with both mayors, and there are some ideas that have come up. Some of it is a negotiation, some of it we can't talk about in public because it hasn't been done. But I just want to make sure the public knows we've been working on this, even before we knew we owned an ambulance.
Sure.
And the other thing is that both villages have been super cooperative with us in trying to come up with a solution. You know, you said we're land poor, they're land poor too.
Sure.
So we're trying to do
I'll
this.
say that you've actually spoken with myself and with Mr. Gallerati.
Mhm, a
So
couple
we've
of
all,
times.
we've been going around, so it's not we're aware of the problem
And
we're-
look, we want it here too.
yeah.
We want it here too, that's our ultimate goal. I think what happened, in my impression, a little bit, and then I'll stop talking, is that it kind of, once we knew we were getting this ambulance, it kind of went like a snowball, like
Yeah.
it just kind of went like an avalanche. We didn't have time to build something, to find something.
Well, we were told a year, and it was
It came in 2 months. So it
Crazy.
did, it
So it was
snowballed.
great.
I mean, the irony was, we got all ready for this, and the first 3 calls we had in the new year were actually in the old year. So
Yeah,
because we were
right.
literally, we were barely in the garage,
And the
and
calls.
again, calls started coming in, it was still in last year.
Yeah. I want to point out that prior to January 1st, the town did not have an ambulance.
Correct.
Here.
Dedicated
Correct.
ambulance, whether it was parked here or was parked at Eastchester. We did not have one. So the Empress organization that we contracted with, the ambulance could have been in Mount Vernon, Yonker, it could have been anywhere in the county.
Thing.
Could have been anywhere, and we would have to wait for it. We had a fly car that was available, but we did not have an ambulance. So today, on April 8th, we are exponentially in a better spot than we were on December 31st and last April 8th. So I just want to make sure that the residents are aware of that, because it's,
I think the residents should also know that the pace at which you got an ambulance was unprecedented.
Yes.
To the point that we were shocked.
So
I
we're
think
waiting.
So.
What, it's coming next week?
Yeah, and it came
I
quick.
kind of knew.
It came really, really quick.
I know, vehicles
That email
On
we
back
got
order.
from you, Jen,
Yeah.
we were
like
like,
primarily,
what?
so it's kind of shocking.
So I would encourage the residents, if you see the EMS crew on the road, they like talking
They
to
want to be
people.
part of the community.
They like being part of the
Yeah,
community.
just
They
gave
actually,
them
we had a whole social media thing that I think is still going on,
Yeah.
where when the crews go and eat at one of your establishments, we try to take a picture with
Oh,
them.
that's great.
And you'll see that on our Instagram. It's actually pretty active. And we're open to questions, suggestions. We did a couple things with the library. We did a video with the library, and we have a couple training events that we're planning probably closer to the summer to teach the residents CPR, teach them what to do in regards to emergencies. Eastchester Voluntary Ambulance Corps is taking in volunteers regularly. We've taken in a fair amount from Pelham. We're always looking for more.
And the final thing I want to say is Mark talked to me today about their first quality assurance meeting,
Yeah.
which Jean is a member of. But Mark invited me to
Just
go
to
to the
see.
first
Sure.
meeting.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was like, this is what we were looking for. Is that we have a voice. We can sit there and say to you why, or explain it to
So
me.
you're going to see 6 months worth of data in front of you, and you'll be able to pick it apart. The unique, I mean, I did have a conversation with your residents, and I had said that there was money, there was a lot of stuff in the report that I give the board that I can't give everybody because there's stuff that's
It's HIPAA.
it's questionably HIPAA, but it's enough that it's concerning. But since you're on our committee already, and we have a HIPAA agreement with you,
Right,
we can sit there and get to the nuts and bolts of stuff. And I do keep you abreast of, if there's situations that occur in the town that you have to be aware of. If there's a response issue, which fortunately we've had none.
There's been nothing but wonderful communication between
I think the only issue we had
an
an ambulance issue,
yes.
and it was actually
We knew that.
it was a concern, had nothing related to evac at the time. It was a factory defect in the vehicle, and we were able to mitigate it, manage it while I was on the phone with you.
I drove the other ambulance.
And Jude brought another ambulance down. I mean, it takes a village. And
That's right. That's right. And the other thing is Medicare did a surprise visit on us.
Yeah.
Because as I explained at last month's meeting, we have to get a Medicare provider number. We have to get a Medicaid provider number. We have to get an MPI, which is a Federal National Provider Identification Number, to collect any of the revenues that we might share. That can take 6 months. We started this a while ago, but they showed up unexpectedly. Thank God.
The
The
ambulance
ambulance
back.
came back from the dealership around
like hours
that
before
morning.
that morning. The other thing, just so residents are aware, and I think the board should be aware as well, the mutual aid that we're providing, you're not subsidizing people. So the revenue, once it starts coming in, the revenue goes back into the system.
Right.
So it's it's a nice full circle.
We appreciate you coming here tonight, Mark. Does
Anytime.
anybody have
I
any
have one
questions?
question. You mentioned that EMS staff can work different
Shifts.
shifts. What are the shifts that our,
So the way your system is set up, we'll say today, we might actually change it a little bit. It's similar to what we have in Eastchester. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are 8-hour tours, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday are 12-hour tours, which are 7 to 7, 7 to 7. So they can work combinations within that. Where they'll do, like I said, an 8, 16, a 20. There's so many different variations in there. The problem with EMS nationwide is that, generally speaking, paramedics and EMTs are mercenaries. They work multiple places, doing multiple things.
Because
So
their
if you look-
salaries aren't good enough?
It's a bunch of different concerns. That's one of them. That's certainly one of them. I mean, myself,
Shortages.
I'm a career firefighter. Jude's an educator. He's actually a professor at the Westchester Community College. So everybody wears multiple hats. And having a schedule that accommodates that and having that ability to have 8s and 12s and combinations, it's worked out the best for us. So you'll see them. I mean, and just prior to this meeting, I had 3 or 4 staffers, some here and some there, say I have somebody coming in an hour early for me, or I have somebody staying an hour later for me. So having that level of flexibility allows people to do everything else that they need to do in their daily lives.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So as we're planning for the space, the housing of the ambulance, can you just tell us, is it ideal that the 2 vehicles be together? Is there
For logistical purposes, it makes it so much easier when it comes to the integrity of the equipment, the integrity of the restock. So most of, if not all of the restock, the medications, the bandages, the tape, a lot of it is actually in Eastchester. We
So
have
the
some.
ambulance goes there.
When the ambulance goes back up there, they'll grab what they need and they'll grab the needs of the fly car. We do leave stuff down in the Fort Penfield station. The problem is the medications, because it's a little harder to control the climate down there. We'd rather not leave medications down there. So if they need medications, they're going to go back up to evac to get them. But as far as being able to keep the equipment secure, in East Chester in particular, we have closed circuit television on all the equipment to make sure that, God forbid, there's an issue if somebody tries to take the narcotics, which I will tell you, did happen to a service that I'm involved in. Somebody tried taking the narcotics, they couldn't get to it, so they tried taking the whole truck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so these are things that you have to think about.
But the climate control on the narcotics is very important.
It's not just the narcotics. If anybody's ever had an IV for any reason, try having a cold one.
Right.
And try having a cold one. It's not ideal. So we keep all that, maintained and well controlled. So if anybody's interested, the ambulance and the sidecar are both here. So if after your meeting you want to come out and see what's yours, we have some great equipment. I would wish Ruth was here. Phil DeSimone is a godsend.
Yeah.
The stuff that he's done for us, it's incredible. I mean,
He's been
I talked to him. I mean, I hope the residents realize the amount of equipment that he's gotten you on grants. Your monitors, they're monitors now. They're close to 50,000,
Yeah.
and you have 3 of them. The Lucas devices, we have 2. They're about 15,000 a piece, and these are all things that Phil was able to get for the town on top of the ambulance. So he deserves a huge debt of gratitude. He's done a lot for you folks and for us. So, and I brought business cards if anybody wants anything from me. But like I said, they'll be out there. I'm happy to give you a tour in the cruiser. Happy to meet you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a pleasure working with you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Everybody. That's Mark's son who's following in Mark's footsteps. So he actually
He's actually one of the Pelham medics.
He's one of the Pelham medics.
Worked last night.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have questions? Katie? It's Captain.
Sorry, I was public comment. Katie Keenan, 225 Elderwood. I just have a question about the revenue share, because I actually didn't know we were doing that, despite being at almost every meeting. So a question is, so if we get some of the revenue, how is that gonna be budgeted? Like, will we save some to service all of the additional needs that we'll have?
It's in the budget.
But will some of it be reserved to just help pay for the ongoing ambulance?
It's in the budget.
that is.
So
So the budget is $1.9 million
Yep.
in expenses, and the income is 180, I believe, 190.
Estimated.
Yeah, both is estimated, against that $1.9 million. So we offset $1.9 million in expenses versus $180,000 in revenue.
Okay, so then just the total cost is going.
Yeah, it's not earmarked, like set aside, is what you're saying.
I'm just asking, like, one of the things Jean mentioned is that, like, as we progress with the ambulance, there might be more things that they need, right? Like that Phil's helping them with grants, or that they might need additional supplies, and that might be, like, additional funds that we need to fund.
It's actually not additional funds, it's an offset against the expenses.
So that's all I'm asking is, like,
Yeah.
that income could help to pay for those future needs,
It actually is used to offset the expenses.
the current expenses.
Correctly.
Yeah.
So instead of
Anything
paying
that we would
1.9,
have
it'll
to
be
add-
1.7.
Anything we would have to add would be in capital investment.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean we couldn't get more grants.
Right.
That's all I'm asking,
Yeah.
is that just
So-
in the future, that cost might
The ongoing needs.
go up, so that,
So for instance, that fly car that's out there now,
yep,
that replaced the one that got killed in the flood. We got a grant for the first one,
Mhm.
we got a grant for that.
Mhm.
So we do go back and ask for grants, and we actually got $109,000 from that grant for that black car just recently, about 2 months ago. I took a picture of it, the check. And
It took a while to come, that's why he's saying.
so if we need another Lucas machine, for instance, the first thing we would do as a board is probably reach out to the Assemblyman or the state senator to see if we can get some grants. The ambulance, at this time, we have 2 grants. Well, we have one grant of $150,000 for Maybe Pauling, which was just approved if you signed it today, okay? We're still waiting for the 300 from Fernandez. They don't have it on their radar, by the way. I was gonna talk to you about that later. But that will pay for the ambulance. And Mark, I think you and I talked when we were doing the contract, we figured it was 5 or 6 year use life.
For the ambulance?
Right, yeah. So we would have to go back out. I'm not gonna go back out. Somebody's gonna have to go back 6 years from now and see if we can get another grant.
Okay,
All right?
that makes sense, thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment or just questions at this point?
If you want to ask a question, come
Well,
up with
I don't have a
identify.
question, I just wanted to add something. If
Okay,
you tell me when it's appropriate, is it okay
you do it
now?
now.
Okay.
Come on up.
Come on down.
Gina Doozy, 21 Fifth Avenue. I want to just, from the resident viewpoint, echo some of what's been said before about, I know there's some concerns people have that, I don't know where they're coming from, but what we have now, as more pointed out, and so did everybody else, is exponentially better than what we had before. And I say that being intimately involved with what goes on in the county, okay, and what goes on in other municipalities, okay? We are ahead of the curve. And I also want to emphasize something that I said at a prior meeting when a lot of different questions came up about things like, well, what about standbys at the football game? And what about where we're going to put things? And I said, we are going to now have a platform where all of these things can be developed, whereas we had nothing before. And the last thing I want to just emphasize, I did something a little while ago. I asked a lot of my EMS friends around the county, send me pictures of your ambulance station, okay? Because there's this ridiculous misconception that I've heard from a bunch of different people that all we need is a garage. No. The easiest way to summarize what Mark said is that a functioning EMS station in many ways looks very much like a functioning firehouse, okay? It is something not to stick off in a corner somewhere, okay? But something that should be evident and part of the community. If you want some of those pictures, I'll be happy to send them to people, but I'm talking about places like Eastchester, like Scarsdale, like Ossining, and some of
Actually, the architect gave us pictures of that. to
yeah,
show us.
okay. And most of the other ones, I'm not going to say all of them are really spectacular. Some of them are dumps, okay? But most of them are a place that you would recognize as not only as a garage, but as a residence, okay? Our EMS system should be something that's a focus in this community. So I go back to the last thing. I think Ray, you mentioned this. There's certain viewpoints that say, well, how come we didn't have this? And, why didn't we plan for this and whatever? And it's like, okay, so would you rather we waited? And the answer is, of course not. It would have been ridiculous to wait. We got the ambulance, the building can follow. Okay? It will, because I know everybody on this board at least has been working tirelessly on all of these issues, across party lines, across municipal lines, okay? And I expect from knowing all of you that would continue. I cannot emphasize enough to my fellow residents that you have an extremely valuable resource here. And as everybody knows, I don't work for any of these agencies. I got invited to sit on their QA committee. I'm gratified to do that. My interests on that committee are the same as they were when I first came to you guys, to see this community have a quality EMS system. And that's what we've got. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Thank you very much.
Nice, thank you for presenting tonight. Mark and I have talked about maybe he comes every quarter, maybe he comes twice a year, depending on what issues come, but Mark, would come to every meeting if I asked him to. But I don't think that's necessary, but he would come and present anything to us at any time.
Okay. Councilman
Thank you.
Woman McLaughlin on recreation.
Okay, thank you. It's hard to follow all of that, but I promise the recreation department has been very, very busy. The seniors utilized the medical round trips 54 times in March.
Sorry.
There was cookie decorating with high school, middle school, and high schoolers from Pelham together. There was line dancing lessons, pizza day. The Civics hosted the St. Patrick's Day luncheon. There was a field trip to Westchester Community College culinary arts program for lunch. Lots of arts and crafts, including one with the Girl Scouts. There's exercise class every Tuesday and Thursday, yoga on Friday, and cards Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and apparently also with the EMS people. So I like that everybody's making friends. That's very exciting. And it sounds like everybody's sharing. For the rest of the community, and the seniors included, of course, there was the spring egg hunt on March 24th. There was the egg hunt, music by Zev, face painting, arts and crafts, refreshments, and a visit from the bunny. It's always a secret who the bunny is, but they hop along. Tons of people. I think every year it's sort of like 11,000 eggs or something like that, and they're all found.
He had such a challenge this year because of the rain.
Yes, and it was a big mud pile.
He actually came up here and ran some ideas by Rudy and I, like, do you think I could do it here? Do you think I could do it there?
Anyway, so everybody's working. We just celebrated the fourth and fifth grade girls from Colonial and the fourth and fifth grade boys from Siwanoy on their championship season for Pelham Rec basketball. The boys basketball, 5 of the basketball all-star teams made it to the championship game, and 2 won. And then 2 of the girls teams, actually, I take that back. 2 girls teams and 2 boys teams won the whole thing, and then 2 more made it to the final game. So that's always exciting, because that's all of Westchester. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I know, that's pretty great. Like, there's some tall kids around this Westchester. Saturday, March 9th was a pop-up sale for the Busy Girls class. The Busy Girls is an entrepreneurial class for 12 and 13-year-olds. And they sold their wares. There were candles, bath bombs, dog toys, and jewelry. And they learned how to do all of that and learned how to make a budget, profit and loss, and it was so exciting that they want to do it again next year. So that was a brand new class that was kind of piloted, and they sold it out. So that's exciting too. They offered 2 AED CPR classes to Pelham residents, one in March and one in April. They were all totally set, and I think there's enough interest that they are hoping to do one in May.
So I would love to talk about that. So I participated in the CPR AED training yesterday. It was run by Lieutenant Bellatoni and Philip DeSimone, and there was an EMS employee there, and it was absolutely magnificent. So I think the idea is this was sort of piloting it with community members for these 2 sessions, and to continue these. I cannot tell you how much I got out of this session, how much I learned. I didn't know what a Lucas device was. Now I know. I know how to use the AED device, and and they talked about where they were located. I just want to urge community members, when they start rolling these out, for people to attend, because I'm a soccer coach and I coach both my kids, and I've always been anxious, in case of a cardiac incident. I feel so much better about how I'd be able to handle the situation. So I was really impressed.
Is it all right if I cover the Pelham Together stuff now?
Sure.
It's not really new business, but anyway. Pelham Together Teen Advisory Board went to Albany for Mental Health Matters Day. They've met with both Assemblywoman Paulin and Senator Fernandez, and talked about what mental health and wellness means to them. And they also learned a ton of things about how to introduce legislation, how to work on it, get it funding behind it, get bills enacted, get money back to Pelham. And both, Assemblywoman Paulin has been in office for a very long time, and Senator Fernandez is much newer, and they both came at it with a very different perspective. So the kids walked away very educated on what to do, how to do it, who they needed to work with. So they were both of them charged them with coming up with what does wellness look like for teens in Pelham, and they are to put together an entire pitch to go to Dr. Champ and Pelham Recreation to say this is what we need to help us be fit and well and worry about our own mental health. And then the idea is to get pilot funding for Pelham and then have the success be rolled out and talk to other school districts and recreation departments and get full funding from, for all of Westchester County or across the state. So the kids were beyond excited with that they really have a say in, what these programs look like for them. I also put the library down as a partner for this, so I think that would be really exciting too, because not everybody wants to be athletic. The rec department is going to work with Pelham Together for all I think I mentioned this last time also, on a child abuse and neglect identification program, and that'll be for the camp directors. So they, and that will be conducted by Pelham Together board member and psychologist Pavritha Landapa. She's volunteering her time for that, which is phenomenal. Let's see what else. They got the grant for $8,000 to put together from the county for entrepreneurs to come up with, and this is going to work with 12 and 13-year-olds to help them with the Pelicones truck and also some other activities to put their home. And that's the thing that, Dan, they applied with us, and so the money will flow through us. So they received that, which the full $8,000, which was a very exciting thing. The town hall on April 17th, and it conducted by their teen advisory board, what Pelham has to help children connect. And the whole theme is about connectedness and belonging, and we're all invited. Lastly, they would like to know if we want to have an intern.
Yes.
Yes, okay. We can talk about that later. They also asked if the historian would like.
Oh,
So let's
he
talk
would
about that.
actually. There's a project for the historian and the assessor. We can talk.
Okay, so,
Is that the scout one that I put together?
I don't think so.
Because I put an Eagle Scout program with Park. It's not
This
the
is
same?
different.
Okay.
all right, I think that's everything. Thank you.
I wanted to tell you that there's a 84-year-old lady who goes to the exercise class, and she actually told Dan and I what a wonderful instructor. That correct? Do you remember it? The
Well, I
instructor.
remember it, of course I do.
The instructor was wonderful,
Great.
so I wanted to give you that.
Oh,
feedback.
absolutely. Thank you. I'll pass that along.
Very, very complimentary.
Yes, very complimentary.
Yeah.
Did you get the name? Is it Chanel?
I will get the name.
Yeah.
I will get the name.
Anyway, I just want to say for the recreation, I think that, I don't know if residents know this, but the coaches that participate in the rec basketball game are all high school students who excel at basketball or coaching or both. And it's an amazing program. I think that, then there's also, I spoke to parents whose kids are coaching the younger kids. Their kids aren't even really basketball players, but they're coaching the younger kids at the elementary schools, and it's just a fantastic program that they put together, and it really, I think, is one of the best things that we have in this town. I think, I just wanted to say that about the recreation.
And they're paid, right?
Yes.
Yes, Dan says.
I was just with
I was
Kara
setting that up.
and more at the presentation for the rec winners. And I say this multiple times in multiple places. We have, in my opinion, one of the best recreation programs in Westchester County. I mean, from 3-year-olds to 84-year-olds. We just, and every year they come up with new programs. So I just can't say enough about the recreation program.
The Busy Girl program that they brought, I went to the sale. It happened to be the same day as the Girl Scout health event. And I went to the sale, and my daughter and I shopped the sale, and they were so thrilled to just show their wares and what they had created. It was very imaginative and creative, dog toys, all kinds of things. And I think that just is a testament, like, you don't have to be athletic to participate in the recreation.
They have other
That's
programs.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
And what was really nice were the two principals from the
Yes.
elementary
Oh,
school.
they
showed
came.
up. I was like,
Very
how awesome is that?
Yeah, it was really nice.
One of the principals is 1984.
2024 Principal of the Year.
2024 principal of the elementary principal.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he went to Hastings High School. So, small world, my cousin knows him, and she was like, "Do you know him?" Oh no, he won the Principal of the Year. I said, "Well, I don't know everybody."
His name's Free Johnson.
Yes.
Mr.
Okay.
Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman McLaughlin. Councilwoman Burke, board and other issues.
Yep. So I'll start with the really great news. I don't know if people are aware, but Dan and I, Kara's helped. We've been working with the school district and trying to improve the safety of the Glover Complex area where the Hutch highways meet. And we started our letter campaigning, I think in about January, to local elected officials, and a lot has happened. We've gotten a lot accomplished. So on March 19th, Dan and I met with some individuals from the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council, along with representatives of the school district, as well as someone from Amy Pollan's office and someone from George Latimer's office. And they took, it was probably a good hour and a half where we were at the location. They were assessing, the traffic patterns. And to our luck, students were coming from the high school to the track, and they could see with their own eyes how dangerous the intersection really was. And actually, we also took a walk up to in front of the library and that intersection and how dangerous that is as well. And so they are actually now, they've met, I think, just 2 days ago, and they're putting together a report. I think at this stage, it's going to be a report or a study, right, Dan?
Right.
And it's regarding that whole sort of path from the high school on Sanford Boulevard to the Glover Complex. Well, lo and behold, as they're working on that, the following day, on the 20th, we learned that the walk lights finally work across the
What
Hutch.
a miracle.
It's a miracle. We don't actually know exactly how it happened, but
So I went there, and first of all, they didn't change anything. They're the same ones. It's not like they replaced the
The buttons.
units. It's like they turned them
Yeah,
on.
there was something underneath.
Yeah,
Right,
but the
that's what they
actual
were
buttons
saying.
are exactly the same because they
Yes.
don't match. One is a little bit broken, like ripped or whatever, but they all work. And when you push it, you hear the noise and.
But it's still a problem,
It's still a problem.
But it
because
is.
it's 15 seconds, and then it starts to flash, don't walk,
Yeah.
don't walk, don't walk. And in the meantime, people coming from the library can still make that left-hand turn onto
Yeah.
the Hutch South. So that's going, the good thing that Kristen and I felt is that now we have professionals looking at it.
Yes.
And they literally said they're gonna look at how the traffic coming off the Hutch, the traffic going on the Hutch.
Yep.
So,
Congratulations.
yeah.
That's
Thank
huge.
you.
It is huge.
They already had some great ideas. I mean, things we hadn't thought about, moving the walk pattern and
Yes,
stuff.
that's
So
right.
it's going to be great. I'm really excited. And one other thing they did is they increased the amount of time for the green light coming out of Glover, which is also a hazard for pedestrians too. It got really blocked up, so that it should be a little bit easier to
Try to
exit.
go out after a football.
Oh,
Right.
I know. So they increased that green light
35
time.
minutes.
So
one of the things that I don't know if I told you about this, Kristen. One of the things when the gentleman from the electrical company increased the time to come out of Glover by about 7 seconds,
Okay.
he said, anything you do to change these lights, you have to worry about the other lights that are down.
Sequentially.
Mhm.
So I can raise it about 7 seconds, which he did, but if you want to raise it,
20.
you're gonna have to go to Mount Vernon and get a Department of Traffic thing that says what happens at the Wolf Lane light, what happens at the Target light, so it becomes more complicated.
But, so more to come, but a lot of progress. We're really pretty
Wait,
happy.
Do you know, is it triggered by somebody coming out?
Yes.
So
There
it
is.
won't, that light won't change unless.
Correct.
It's the
There's
metal
somebody
in the
back.
car that changes it.
Right,
I
okay.
thought it was the weight, but it's the metal in the car that changes
Oh.
it.
Like a sensor. Okay, and so a few more things. So the court, the judges were very happy to report that our town attorney, Tom Kleinberger, has stepped up and has been serving as a prosecutor for the speeding tickets for New York State Police, Westchester County, and they said it went great. He did an amazing job, and you were such a tremendous help, so they're really appreciative.
And he's wearing a suit.
Now they want to add to your load because they're talking about, the DA's office is talking about having the town and village prosecutors handle MTA tickets. I'm told there's only a handful of those every year, but something to talk about in the future. And then one other thing that Justice Kagan wanted me to bring to everybody's attention is potentially having our constables do DNA collection, which is, it's permissible. It's not required that our constables do it, and, you know, we will have to talk to Chief Conti. But apparently the process is now that people get a sheet of paper and they have to take it to their local police to get a DNA sample, I guess for sexual assault cases. I'm not exactly sure, a whole slew of cases. But they just never do it. They never go and then they never come back. So the constables could be trained, I think they said Detective Burby could train them to take the swab right here and get it done, and we get the sample, and it helps with processing cases. So I think, you know, we should talk to Chief Conti, but I think it sounds like a good idea. Yeah, you look not thrilled.
Is that it?
You don't have to do it. That's it for me. I don't have any reports.
Oh, I have them.
Oh,
I sent them on the.
We could come back. I could come back to the reports.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think everyone's waiting for those.
It's torture.
She got it.
No, hit-
There we go. All right.
Nice, lucky day.
Same company.
It
You have
is,
to
that's
think
true,
it that way.
that's true, Kara. So the receiver of taxes for the month of March, 2024, town county taxes received for 2023 were $2,336.27. School taxes received were $106,888.25. School collection fee of $897.89. Penalties and interest received $11,058.96. Taxpayers agreement $2,329. Miscellaneous $50. Proratas $515.87 for a total of $124,076.24 received. And for the justices, for Justice Kagan, for the month of February 2024, he received an amount of $22,905. And Justice Gardner, for the month of February 2024, received an amount of $60,113.
Thank you. Councilwoman Curtin on the library and other issues.
The library had a great eclipse viewing party this afternoon, and I was glad to attend, and they gave out 500 pairs of eclipse glasses
Wow.
Nice.
to residents who got there before Saturday when they were out of the eclipse classes. But they signed, and while they did that, they signed up roughly 75 people renewed their library card, which was an amazing outcome for the library. They were playing music, they were streaming NASA's live stream in the program room, so it was a great event, so congratulations on that.
You want to model your shirt that you made?
We made this shirt, and we all had it.
Oh, that's so cute. Isn't that cute?
Nice.
They were handing out Oreos to make like the process of the eclipse. I just ate one. Earth Day is April 20th, and the library has a new program where they're collecting single-use batteries and gently used eyeglasses that they will then recycle. So residents are encouraged to go there and drop those items off. The library received a $1,200 grant for Latino poetry, so congratulations for that. It's a national public humanities initiative directed by Library of America, a nonprofit publisher and cultural institute, and it partners with the National Association of Latino Arts and Cultures, which includes arts organizations, museums, and libraries nationwide. And the library plans to stage 2 programs this year in late September and early October in celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month. To celebrate that, so congratulations on the grant. I'm excited about Crafty Adults this month. It's next Monday, April 15th at 7:15, and they're making abstract wreaths.
What's an abstract wreath?
I'll show you a photo. It's
Okay.
great. And you can sign up on the library's website. And then finally, the Friends of the Pelham Public Library, this is an off-year novel night. Sorry, everybody. So no novel night in 2024. But the Friends of the Pelham Public Library are hosting an Oktoberfest on the library lawn on September 28th, Saturday. So save the date, and more information will be coming. I think that's all I have on the library. I wanted to mention we lost 2 Pelham residents recently. I think we probably lost more than ever. 2 Pelham residents that I personally attended their services and was really honored to go and pay my respects. One was a Pelham Manor firefighter for 27 years, firefighter Paul Sartorius. He passed away on March 22nd, and both fire departments came together and did a wonderful tribute to him, really honored him in his service, and it was really wonderful to see. The second resident was Dr. Richard Garvey. He suddenly passed away on April 2nd, and I attended his service this morning. His son Joseph Garvey gave I saw your wife there, Tom. Gave a wonderful eulogy, and his son Nicholas played the most amazing musical tribute to him, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. And so, 2 wonderful Pelham residents who we wanted to just give our condolences to their families and pay our respects.
Thank you. By the way, I was one of the Pelham residents that got the glasses, but they didn't sign me up for a library card.
And he got chastised for it tonight.
Yes, I did. I did have a library card, but it expired.
Oh.
Long ago.
Oh.
Whoa! That's a third disc.
Can't get no respect.
You should just have an honorary, right?
No, actually, the person said the town doesn't have a really good software system, so I looked at her, I said, you, now, she was kidding. Okay, thank you. I just want to go quickly, we finally got I said we got the constable grant that we deposited Wednesday, on Friday or Monday, today?
Friday, I think.
Friday, the $80,000, which was very nice to get. The townhouse grant, you want to tell where we are on that one?
Yeah, so the New York State Historical Preservation Office rendered an effective finding that we will be able to move forward with the plan as we presented it through the proposal that we sent. It's in right now. DASNY has it. That's the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, and I was informed that the grant will go through a series of desk audits. Once that is complete, it will go back to DASNY for their legal counsel to review, and then we will be sent. It will be sent to the state for final approval, and then we will complete a grant distribution agreement, and then that's their contract. And so,
And that's what happened just
yes,
Friday with the
yes,
150 ambulance. It came back to me to sign. I signed it Saturday, and
yeah.
you signed it today.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what, you're looking at, that began in November, like October, so you're looking at November, December, January, you're looking at a few months, so. As soon as we get approval on that, we should start to look at what the work is and get get it lined up, so that then when we're ready to go, we can work on that.
Okay. And I want to have a conversation with you about the elevator grant,
Okay,
and maybe talk about not using it for the elevator, but using it for downstairs.
okay,
So we'll talk about that offline. And then we'll bring it up at the next meeting. I'm having a bank meeting tomorrow at 2:00, because there was some discussion about using our reserves and making sure that we invested. And in 2023, we made $192,000 in interest. And I asked Sam to give a copy.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
And one of the things, I'm going to read you what the banker sent to me, and then I'm going to send it to you. In summary, the accounts are analyzed and the process is done after month end. So typically you get an interest posting in the middle of March. That posting in March was based on the balances and services for the month of February. All the accounts are looked at together, and you have some accounts earning interest, some accounts getting a charge because of high activity. Everything is put together, the balances are considered, and services used, subscribed to are considered. In lieu of paying fees, a portion of the balance is non-interest bearing, but the balances in excess of what is required are then paid interest. And the amounts are different month to month depending on the balances and the rate. The most recent rate we got was 3.35%. So we are taking any reserves we have and we're putting it into a money market account, and we're getting 3.35%. I'm having a meeting with him tomorrow to go over other things with him. If you have any things you want me to go over, just send me an email.
This is great, this is great, I
so
know.
we earned $192,000 in interest.
On our
That's
reserves.
amazing.
So I thought you guys should know about that. I happened to take part in a parade March 24th. I couldn't make it to the egg hunt.
I didn't think you were at the parade.
The mayor of Pelham was the marshal, grand marshal of the Sound Shore Parade, St. Patrick's Day Parade. I was an aide of his. And my wife was very concerned of me walking. And when I got to the parade, the gentleman said, "What's your name?" I said, "Dan McLaughlin." And he said, "We have a Cadillac for you." So I was actually marched in a Cadillac. Thank you, Chance.
I
This,
took your picture.
yes, that's
I
right.
have
You
proof.
did. Yes, you
And
did.
send it to us.
We hosted the Westchester Municipal Official Association dinner. Kristen, you couldn't be there. You missed out on a good time. We did a nice job, I believe.
Rudy did a
Yes.
nice job.
Thank you to Ruby for putting it
Putting it
together.
together, yes.
There were some rowdies in the back.
There were.
Don't look at me.
There were.
We put you back there to keep them in line.
I couldn't.
And the last thing I have is Little League Parade is this Saturday, if anybody that's
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
it's this Saturday?
This
Yes.
Saturday, it's 8:30 in front of the Pelham Arts Center.
Yes, and there's gonna be a dedication for a bench, and
Yes, I saw that in the
Oh,
paper.
I saw that too.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
They're gonna name a bench,
Oh.
name on it.
Other than that, I'm done. Do we have any public comment?
Dan, I just have one
I'm
more thing for
sorry.
new business though, because I almost forgot about this. The Village of Pelham, the Sustainability Advisory Board is hosting, related to Earth Day, they're doing a clean heating and cooling information session on April 25th at the townhouse. So I'm gonna be, blasting whatever flyers they have for that out. I'll get that to Molly to post on our website. That's coming up, we have to,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yep, I'll get that out.
And Dan, do you want to announce that we're meeting with the Westchester County Planning Commission? Isn't that in May?
Oh, no,
Or was that moved?
no, why didn't you mention that?
What is the exact day? I don't
I'm
know.
trying to-
I think it's for the end of May.
Yeah, it's like May 19th, I think.
Yeah.
The town of Pelham will be participating in a Zoom call with the Westchester County Planning Commission, and they will work with us on a whole host, May 24th, a whole host of things that they cover, transportation, building use, flooding,
It was a long presentation,
It
so
was a-
there was a lot of things.
yes,
that
there
they
was a
did.
lot of things. I focused on those four because those seem to be the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
relevant
that's-
to us. If not for us as the town, our municipal, village partners, they are looking at everything from a county perspective on how we can, make sure that something we do also benefits others and doesn't hurt anybody else, and vice versa. Like, if somebody's fixing a flooding problem in New Rochelle, that it doesn't make things worse for Pelham Manor, for instance. I brought up, wouldn't it be great if the Beeline could actually match MTA, Metro North train
Nice,
schedules?
nice.
So people coming from, Shore Road or along, could actually take that.
Yeah.
They also said that they will have the Omni, which is how you can pay for, your MTA, if you're taking the subway or the bus in New York City, you just use a credit card or your Apple Pay, and you could just use that to pay, and that'll be early 2025, which I thought was an exciting thing. Makes life a lot easier, because frankly, I don't know how to get on the bus there. You just throw coins in, I don't know.
I haven't taken a bus in 25
Not here,
years.
anyway. So I think that was something that, if they thought was of interest, that we could get people, to use that. Anyway, among other things.
Thank you.
Pretty much.
Any other?
I just wanna say one thing, I wanna thank Samantha Vitarello for talking me off the roof when the earthquake hit, because I happened to be on the phone with her and I said, my house is blowing up, my boiler's blowing up, the couch is shaking, and she said, hey, it's an earthquake. Thank you, Sam, I didn't know that, so you talked me off the roof, Sam. That's it,
Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
so moved.
I
Oh,
asked-
public comment.
I asked
Well,
public
then I
comment.
kind of interrupted.
Right.
Any public comment?
Okay.
So, thank you. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
thank you, everybody.
Motion to go-
Did we have a second?
So moved.